look at the end of his career. He was an 8-time LCS champion. By the way, your boy Bjergsen, who was winning LCS titles from end of season 4 on, less titles than that. Lost in the finals 1 time. By the way, that means he was in the finals 9 times. In the last few years, he skipped a split. Now, if we take out the split he skipped, he technically played the end of it for Team Liquid. Basically, there's 10 splits at the end of his career, and he won 8 of them. And if you go to 11, he was in the finals of 9. He skipped season 7 spring. He lost the finals in season 6 spring. And then he failed in season 10 spring. This is one of the greatest winners North America ever produced. His record in finals is unbelievable. The guy just does not lose in finals, basically. The one time it happened, it was by 1 game and to a team that was far higher ranked in the league and was in way less trouble, quite frankly. It was the team that then went to MSI and went to the final, by the way, that CLG squad. Now, people will now spin it. They're like, oh, but yeah, he was just a big fish in a small pond and like, you know, there wasn't any talent in any. There was loads of talent. We talked about world champions, amazing European players. Oh, no, but, you know, in the finals, he was always a favourite and the best team. It's just nonsense. Like, CLG had never won an LCS title. They hadn't even been in the fucking final. TSM was a favourite, yeah, but sometimes they were facing the likes of Cloud9, who were very capable and had some of the players that were absolutely equivalent. Team Liquid Season 8, he wasn't even a final until the summer, and do you remember what happened in the summer split? He had a horrific personal tragedy and still won in the final easily. Now, when they got to the playoffs, they beat Cloud9, who had a 12-6 record, 3-1 in the quarterfinals. In the semi-finals, they beat the 17-1 Immortals, 3-0, clapped these motherfuckers. Then in the finals, they were 1 game from the championship against CLG, who were 13-5. And basically, this was the one finals loss Doublelift ever has. So with this exception, this man doesn't lose domestic finals. Now, that is excellent no matter what you think of LCS as a region. There's plenty of other great players cannot say that. Then he goes into the summer. It's probably the most dominant split ever, including playoffs, by any team in the region. Now, I know people are going to go, no, but what about Cloud9? Like, first of all, the quality of the league was way worse when Cloud9 was playing, and they were playing best of 1s and super weeks. This was all best of 3s, and they were fucking unstoppable. Everyone was dominating, and Doublelift, again, I believe he was robbed of the MVP this split. Bjergsen had some very good, he was arguably the second best or third best player this split. He had other years where he absolutely deserved his MVPs. This one should have gone to Doublelift, in my opinion. He was what made TSM absolutely unbeatable. I think he was better than Bjergsen at his role at the champions he played at the time.
And what happens is, a lot of the times, players who are individually very good get really annoyed by like the luck that's involved in the game. So obviously a better player in games like League, obviously a better player can lose to a worse player. So because they get so annoyed by that, they feel like, oh, I'm better though, I should win every time. And so what's bizarre is, in the same way they'd get annoyed if a worse player loses to them, they kind of feel like it's only logical they should lose to a player who's better than them. So if Doublelift plays Uzi or Doublelift plays Deft or something like that, in his mind, it's not like he's trying to lose the game, but in his mind, if he loses the game, it makes sense. You know, it's logical. Is there anything to... Is this just a fan theory I've come up with?
You're definitely right.
It does seem like you lose to these players a lot.
You're my fucking therapist right now. You're actually right. Yeah, I do feel that way, like in some capacity, that it's okay to lose to Uzi because he's Uzi. Like, if he beats me, I'm just like a stepping stone for him across like his path. But like, I know that doesn't make any sense. Like, if I truly believe that like I can be as good or better than him, then it's not okay. Like, I should expect to win anyways. But I do have a ton of respect for Mata and Uzi as players. And so maybe I'm like trying to soften the blow for the potential loss afterwards.
Right. And by the way, let's just throw this out there. When we're talking about teams going to Worlds, there can only ever be 3 per year. So we've got a pretty small sample size, haven't we? Well, I hate to break it to you, Doublelift. You yourself were part of the reason why the #1 seed from LCS for 6 years in a row never got out of those motherfucking groups. Have you ever thought about the fact that you were one of the dominant forces on those teams, massively influential around how people play? And if you've ever listened to your teammates like Link back in the day, you have an enormous effect on their mental state. And you're going into fucking games and tournaments thinking after week 1 of scrims, oh, fucking your dick, that was fine. And just playing against them, well, whatever, we sent our best, time to pack it up and go. No fucking wonder, mate. It's like I say about Perks. If I look down the line and I see Perks, I could be having the worst game of my tournament. I go, you know what? I don't have to win this game. I just have to play carefully, do what he says. He might fucking win the game for me. If I look down the line and I see you, I'd start going on the app and trying to see if I can get like a fucking free upgrade for the flight home or something. Maybe get my choice of snacking. Motherfucker.
Now we'll go to the bot lane where there were a lot of issues. So Doublelift, first and foremost, Doublelift's strength is supposed to be 2v2. There's two strengths of Doublelift. Lane dominant AD carry, late game, super late game, team fight damage output, right? We obviously never got to fucking see the second part, and part of that's because of how he fucked up the first part. But, you know what? First of all, ignore when he got caught, ignore the games they lost, just look at the lanes. Doublelift didn't really win many lanes, did he? This 2v2 did not win many lanes. They got greedy in trades. Doublelift seems to just be the guy where I almost feel like I'd like to see okay, this might sound abstract. I would like to see Doublelift, when they next do a Korean boot camp, play Korean solo queue and with LS coaching him, right? You know where LS watches a game that you played back and he pauses it, he talks to you. Because Doublelift does shit in lane that like LS teaches these guys who are like platinum and below, like, oh, don't do that. Like, see where you attacked him here. Like at this particular point in the game, unless your support's with you or your support's in an advanced position here, and if you look at where the minions are, like, it's just not going to work, this trade for you. Doublelift does those, but he tries them, like, over and over and over and over and over again. I feel like Doublelift, because in his era, where he was still a very good player in NA, but he was on CLG and he didn't go to Worlds, is when Uzi rose up. I feel like Doublelift saw Uzi and saw Forgiven in Europe play, because it's the same sort of era, and he was like, right, I have to play that style, and I have to punish them all the time. Except the difference is, when they do it, they're immaculate at how they punish you, because what they do is they make you have this choice every time. Do you want to hit the CS? Do you want to get hit by me? Do you want to hit the CS? Do you want to get hit by me? If you hit me as well and we both hit each other, well, then let's just gamble and play chicken and see who can go as far down as we want. If you want the CS, you're going to take a bit of damage and therefore you're not going to get as much CS later. So they are immaculate at that. Doublelift actually isn't that great at that. He's still a very good laner. He's got his own style to laning, but that style doesn't seem to suit him because it involves you constantly making the correct decision and then making a good adaptive decision based on what the opponent does. And that seems to be where there's a disconnect with this guy.
So here's a question for you. What the fuck was Doublelift doing during that 5-man sleep? He was playing Aphelios. Bruh. Like, if there was ever a time to show us the 200 years of that champion. It's while they all can't move and can't do anything to you. I think he even had his ult up. Like, that's actually a fucking joke. Like, mate, that's got to be at least 1 kill. What other ADC in the main event that you put in that scenario gets 0 kills, does nothing? Now, I will say, considering as well, this is how I know nerves and psychological things are part of what fucks with Doublelift. Because one thing you can't complain about with Doublelift is the guy's mechanical ability, aptitude, is obviously one of the highest of any Western player ever. I've always thought he was comparable to the Asian AD carries in that regard. When he plays without pressure, he can be fucking sick, some of the stuff he can pull off. But you put him in this tournament, the reason I'm almost certain nerves get to him and his brain just betrays him is because, mate, he was QSSing like he was Captain Jack on fucking Quaaludes. Like, how late is he going to press that fucking button? It's one thing to just not do it at all. To just go, oh, fuck, I should have done that. Like, give me a break, mate. You're supposed to have insane hand-eye coordination and reflexes. So you know what? I saw he did his little video. Maybe I'll do something addressing that later, but I'll just say for now, miss me with that bullshit about scrims and practice, mate. You've been there for years and years. You could have had a say in who they get as coaches. I mean, you could just ask the fucking president, couldn't you? Now, what's great about this is success really is the best revenge. Because I can make all the videos in the world. I can explain why someone's still good even if he didn't win, or why people are being unfair and overvaluing someone who did win. But the best way to beat people, really, is just to have success, fulfill your own dreams, accomplish the most, and then guess what? The haters are irrelevant. Like, who gives a fuck about Doublelift's trophy case? In fact, who even cares about the people who said it? There will be no point naming them or going back, lol, you get wrecked. They don't matter. They have been made completely irrelevant by Doublelift and his accomplishments. That's why success is the best revenge, because it's success for you. So you succeed so much that not only are they irrelevant, but you no longer care about what they're saying because you're having the time of your life doing what you accomplished and dream of doing. Think about this. I, in the past, before Season 5 summer, could have made all these great arguments as to why in lane, Doublelift's amazing. He's a very strong team fight carry. Actually, he was one of the better players in his team under pressure. He did have his own sense of play, and maybe it wasn't the traditional global
meta of how an AD carry played at the time. It definitely wasn't. But he had his own specialty in that sense, and I could respect that. It's kind of like being a low post player in the small ball era of the NBA. Is it the correct way to play? Well, no, but it's the best style for you to play, and you can have success doing that, as the Memphis Grizzlies did a few seasons back. But here's the key thing. Let's just look at his championships, and you can just stop there. 4 LCS championships, 3 different teams, different coaches, different teammates, different supports, different eras, different LCS periods, different opponents beating. It sounds like that's something that's been a recurring problem for Doublelift. I mean, we've seen, Link said it, a bunch of players have said it who've left the team, that like there comes a point in time where if things go badly enough, Doublelift loses trust in you, and then you kind of fucked at that point in time. Like he's still going to play the game, but yeah, it's true. You're done, so you can't come back from that. Is that accurate?
I mean, yeah, it is fairly accurate, to be honest. And it's repeated through not just the Dunzo Chronicles, but many other different sources. It's just... I think a lot of it did stem from Choster, to be honest. And I think even Choster would agree with that. It really, like... The team just had this shitty mindset, and because everybody that was a part of the old guard, they kind of like adopted this like toxic mindset in a certain degree. Now, I'm not saying that that's why Peter is this way. I actually don't know. But what I do know is we've tried extremely hard to help shape that, and at a certain point, you keep trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and trying. You spend money and money and money. You build a team, and eventually just you got to step back and you got to be like, okay, it's not working. His popularity is a blessing and a curse to himself, I believe. I think that's what a lot of this stems from. I think it's a little bit of toxic. I'm not going to try to fully psychoanalyze Double. I've known him for like 5 years. I've lived almost every day of my life with him for the past 5 years. But when you have everybody in the organization in complete agreement, it's not like it's like surprise. You know what I mean? Like I just don't know. Whatever.
So, here's the thing, okay? From talking to him and watching interviews, I'm not going to like betray any private thing he told me or anything, but it seems like one of the things with him is, like I said, he had the intentions that he wanted to be a good teammate. He'd heard that to be a teammate was very important. And so, unfortunately, I always felt like, even if he bought some of it, he just also got really good in interviews at saying the right things. Like, no, I believe in this guy now. No, I don't think that guy chokes or anything. But I think that something in his personality that's a bit, like, that fans need to understand is, he's the kind of guy where, maybe this does come from Chaucer in a way, he's the kind of guy where, if he does his job in the team and he plays well, and someone else in the team like fucks up a bit or is doing badly, it's almost like he can't understand why they play badly and sort of thinks to himself like a supportive teammate would be like, okay, what's going wrong? Like, why are you having problems? Like, is there something I can do? It feels like his mentality was more like, well, I did my job, you need to do your job. Like, it's almost like kind of almost a harsh mentality like that, you know, like a bit ruthless. Yeah. And this, unfortunately, in a team environment, it sounds like that's always going to be a problem for the guy who is slumping or something, you know.
Yeah.
He was someone also who had kind of like a strange relationship with teammates. Like, he is someone where, again, if I was talking to him privately during these times, when you were winning, he would always be like, no, I love that guy. I think, you know, I believe he can do it. I do think this time we've gotten over our problems. But it would always end the same way. It was always end with, like, you know, he was kind of like checked out on that guy, or just he just couldn't trust him anymore. What do you think it is about him as a player or a person? Why could he never unlock that potential before?
Well, I think it's because before he was a terrible teammate, and that's just it. The way I see it is, and I explained this to 2 other people recently, so I kind of understand. So when you're looking at a player, so the average player goes in, and on a scale from 1 to 10, being a good teammate, they're around like a 6. Okay? Doublelift lacks empathy. Like, that's his biggest weakness. Is the reason why he's not a good teammate is because he lacks empathy, so it's hard for him to understand like so and so kind of things, right? And so or team related things. And so I think his like level of teammate started really, really, really low. So let's say very first era, him, Saint, Hotshot, and in that type of environment, that doesn't promote good being a good teammate, right? That's like the opposite. You learn how to be the worst teammate. And so I think he's steadily improved since then. Like maybe he started as a 3, and every year he's increased 1. So this is like his 4th year, so he's like at a 6 or 7 right now, which means he's become like a good teammate. But the steps that have led up into that point take a long time.
In this esports world, it can seem like everyone's against you, but I've always got the Skrilluminati, my Patreon community, riding with me, and it is thanks to the support of the following people, this video and all of them on my channel are made possible. Matt, Pugnatio, Rajcula, Ahmed Hadjou, Frisky, Tosh, Jensen Goh, Animosity, Toucan, Tobias Bernasconi. If you've ever watched my videos, you know now I'm going to give a massive shout out to Jerky's Minion, the main man. Do you want to suggest a topic or a guest for my content? You want teasers? Find out who the upcoming interview guests are. Maybe you want to ask me a question. I tend to answer them at length in my video AMA. Do you want to take part in one of those dinner discussions where we talk about what you're interested in esports? Well, if any of these perks or more appeal to you, put your money where your mouth is. Join the Skrilluminati today, where in the description box below is a Patreon link.